All right, hello and welcome to the Cow's Den podcast. I am Josh, and as usual, with me is Brian and Matt. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. Oh,
So,
might I say I'm here for the reach around,
those are
Hmm,
the
free.
promised reach around.
that part was
Uh,
hilarious.
so we we usually talk nerdy stuff. I usually talk comics. Brian usually talks some French science stuff. Matt usually talks pop culture stuff like that. However, this week we are running a special episode. We are going to be all in on the Justice League, the Snyder cut of the Justice League that came out last week. Now, right? We're just gonna basically just talk about that, talk about our opinions and thoughts on it, and yeah, kind of go from there. It was a monumental thing for this to actually even happen.
Yeah, how long ago did the first one come out?
It was
5 years?
2017.
4 years?
2017. So, but
Hmm.
it was around 5 years ago, I would say, that they decided to, with Zack Snyder, with everything that happened. If you don't know, Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide. Very sad, unfortunate incident, and
Crushing.
Snyder kind of took himself out of it. I'm actually not 100% sure if Warner Brothers pulled him or if he pulled himself. I know he was the one to announce that he was departing from it.
So, uh,
And yeah,
um,
go ahead, Matt.
so one thing I think it was a combination, but because they actually had already brought Josh Whedon in to do rewrites, so
Right. Okay.
just kind of like a combination thing.
Okay. But yeah, so as that turned out, we got lovely Joss Whedon coming in and changing up the game, and the result was not very well received back in 2017 for kind of obvious reasons, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now, thankfully, we finally got Zack Snyder's original vision for the movie. So I'm actually gonna. Normally, I would start, but I'm actually gonna open it up because I know Matt has got quite a bit to say about this. So I'm gonna let you start it off if you want to, bud.
Yeah. So, I'd say that in all of DC, my two favorite villains are the Joker and Darkseid. I've always been a gigantic Joker fan, but I feel like Darkseid is up there comparable to a Thanos,
Obviously.
and
Yes.
and there's a lot that I'm going to talk about in generality with the movie, but I want to point out the fact that I truly feel like you wouldn't have. I don't think the Marvel universe would be as big, or it could have changed if this movie was done the way Snyder had intended. One of the main reasons is this movie came out around Civil War. It was going to battle against Civil War, and think about it. What hadn't happened yet in Infinity War, and then Endgame was the
Oh,
time travel.
so yeah. So before we go any further with
Uh,
that, I would
yeah,
like to announce there's
Spoiler.
major spoilers in this.
yeah,
So
yep.
major spoilers for the ending for all of the movies. So if you have not watched it yet, watch it first before you listen to the rest of the episode. Sorry.
No,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Matt.
So yeah, and I feel like if Snyder and Warner Brothers, it's really Warner Brothers' fault because Warner Brothers always does this with their movies. They have to stick their fingers into everything.
David Ayer
Um,
complained because of his Suicide Squad. He said that that wasn't
Right.
technically his original version of the movie, but
yeah. Well, and I'm hoping that AT&T, which owns Warner Brothers, has shown that they're willing to listen to the fans, and hopefully they can kind of pull their weight on the WB and force them to actually, stay out of it a little bit. But so, and my big point on that is that if Snyder Cut had come out first, he would have done the time travel thing first with the Flash reversing time, and I love the fact that they lost that, like that they lost it first, and I just feel like a couple of the things like the Flash and when you watch the Whedon cut, you felt like it was, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Snyder cut, but that you felt like it was a Superman movie,
right.
that it was built around Superman and Batman, but that the other four characters were really kind of left at the wayside,
Mhm.
and I really believe that the Snyder cut allowed this to be a true Justice League
Just
movie.
fleshed out every
Yeah,
character's
I
like
mean, think
story.
about
Yeah.
think about how much the Flash was used, and I mean he
and
saved
Cyborg.
and Cyborg, and I'll talk about that later. But the Flash, I mean, he saved the day.
Well, there's this meme going around.
He was the real hero.
Where it's like there's a meme going around where it's like in the original version, it shows a picture of Flash and he's all whatever, like "Dos or whatever the hell he says in Russian, and takes off. And then in this version, it's him fucking saving everybody. Like you want to
what
talk?
Does he say?
Tired.
Break the rules or break the.
He's like, I just got to break that rule. Got to break my rule. And I got to do it now. Got to do it now. And he's just
go on the cosmic treadmill.
That was incredible.
And I will say my favorite part of the movie is actually Cyborg's flash forward when he's integrating with the when he's integrating with the Superman ship, with the ship from the Kryptonians, where it shows what he sees is going to happen. And the reason why that's my favorite part is actually because that's when you see Darkseid's Omega beams, and his Omega beams are legendary, and they're epic. But my favorite thing about this whole movie, outside of the beams, is the fact that yes, Superman is the weapon. Yes, Superman is the one that can defeat Darkseid, but it takes the whole team. And this version, I feel like they really fleshed out the characters. They gave them the background, and they gave them the dues that they were owed. I mean, Aquaman, they did really well.
I felt like every person's story could have been like an episode of a show or something by itself. Like it was a good half hour of each person before they really got into the team as a whole. And I loved that. I loved it so much.
Well, and think about Wonder Woman's talking to Batman about the war. Think about how different that was. Like, I was so mad that they had Steppenwolf be the one that was invading. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Steppenwolf, but it'd be like if me and Josh, you talked about this. Like, it'd be like if Thanos had one of his henchmen be the one that was invading,
like the actual villain of the movie,
right? And so it also explained why Steppenwolf was here this time and not Darkseid. That Darkseid had been beaten so bad, and you get the backstory about how Steppenwolf betrayed him, and so
redeem himself.
That fight scene was so awesome with the original gods. Zeus and Ares,
the one. I mean, there's a few very minor complaints that I have about the movie, and they're all very, very minor. The one that I would say is actually somewhat of a complaint is the fact that even still, we only get that one look at the lantern, and it's just some alien guy. And
you want to know why?
Why?
So, Warner Bros. So Zack Snyder went to Warner Brothers and was like, "Hey, I want to have Lantern introduce and take a bigger role." Especially, he was basically, instead of having Martian Manhunter, it was going to be not Hal Jordan, but the black guy. I always forget his name. But
Stewart.
He was going to Stewart. Yeah, here we go. Have Stewart be introduced and have a much bigger role. Warner Brothers said, no, don't do that. We want to introduce the Green Lantern Corps in its own movie and everything. And so they gave him Martian Manhunter. They wouldn't let him do Stewart or really the Green Lantern. So, but yeah, I mean, that's probably the only frustrating thing, in my opinion, is, just not having them as much.
Well, one of the things I was wondering is, Darkseid knew the anti-life matter was there on Earth, right?
Right.
And then he forgot, lost the location.
That was somebody was like, "Man, when you get your ass beat so bad that you forget where you."
That's so I was like.
To him, I think the idea of that was that to him, it's such an insignificant planet that he didn't care. He bailed and then was just like, "Oh shit."
So they actually talk about that in the movie at one point. So what it was the mother box have a way of, when they're shut off, they
block frequency
and they block it blocks the memory of them being there. They shrouded. So they go away to where you don't know that they're still there, and like you forget all of that stuff. Like they talk about it at a very small amount, but because I
Okay.
went back and rewatched it last night and this morning, but because I did, when I was first watching, I was like, well, why would you forget that? And so like,
Yeah, how could
when I
you?
rewatched it, yeah, they talked about how they're like their own living item, and they're able to do that.
See, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do like a quick run through. Like for me, even from the start, when Bruce is going off to try to get Aquaman, like, oh well, first of all, the very opening, they open with the death rather than opening
Yeah,
with like I don't know, he
Superman.
opens with that, and it explains that his scream, his death cry, basically is what awoken the mother boxes, and but even that, like that whole scene with Bruce, they really stretched out how far, like how much he went through just to go find Aquaman, like,
Hmm.
and but I love the fact too that even in there, the guy's like, oh, he said he came in over the mountain, and the guy's like, well, that's impossible, but he's fucking Bruce Wayne, of course it's not impossible. Um, but it's like they even stretched that out. They stretched out Wonder Woman's thing. The terrorist guys in Wonder Woman's like part was so much better done. Like even that they didn't really change much. They just kind of fleshed it out to make them really feel terrifying.
He blocked a
And
lot of bullets this time too.
dude, I will
Well,
never get over that part where she's just like like that. Dude, that
well,
shit is
and
amazing.
you said it earlier, like the Flash was an insect and was a scared little kid.
Right, in the
Oh
And
original
yeah,
one, the Flash, he kept bringing up this like, "I've never done battle, guys. I've never done battle. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do." And Bruce had to be like, "Just save one, and then you'll know what to do." And it's
yeah,
like, no, oh, no. I mean, I liked this version better. Like, yes, he's still fresh. Yes, he's still new. That's why he does still trip up every now and then. But it's like he's not this like, I don't know what to do, guys. Like, like he knows what he's doing to an
yeah.
extent.
He's got
oh,
confidence in this one.
Yes,
so
yes.
one thing that I caught, and I can't tell you if it was in the original, and I actually caught it this morning. So there was a what's oh my god, I'm gonna have a brain fart. What's the Flash's gorilla enemy?
Gorilla Grodd, yeah. Gorilla
So
Sign
there was a
Language, yeah,
yes. Was that
yeah.
in the original,
I
or was it
honestly am not
just?
100% sure.
I
That's a
don't
good point.
I don't think
I don't
so.
think it
I don't
was,
think so
because
either, but just
we're
that tiniest little, yeah, Gorilla
yeah,
Sign Language, and you're like, "Oh shit,
yeah,
Grodd."
yep.
But yeah, dude, they fleshed out Flash's story more with what's her name, with Iris. That whole
Yep.
scene where he saves Iris. And yeah, and they also kept some comedy, but to me, it felt like it was so much less forced this time. Like there were still a few cheesy moments, but I mean, it was so much less forced. It felt like,
Yeah. Like the
You're
lasso of
missing.
truth that she pulled on
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
like they got rid of that one.
Well, and she pulls the lasso of truth on that one guy in the beginning where she's all,
Yeah.
"Oh, where Aquaman sits on it." Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
Yeah,
that was, in
yeah.
my opinion, one of the. I'm sorry, that was one of the dumbest fucking scenes ever.
That's the one I was
She's like,
talking about.
"Man, I'm just,
you
you're so beautiful. I just, oh man, I'm just okay,
you're
calm down there."
Get it.
you're missing the biggest ad though, Josh.
What's that?
Jameson, John Jonah Jameson,
J. Jonah Jameson. What did he?
J. Jonah Jameson. Who
Where?
does he
When?
play in this?
Oh, well, Commissioner Gordon.
There you go.
Oh right, yeah.
We
Oh
got
yeah, and dude,
Jameson playing
right. Well,
Commissioner
and he
Gordon.
was in it in the original, but like again, they fleshed out his stuff
Yeah,
more in this one. They
yeah.
they actually gave you
Like
more
his
of what
addition,
he's
his
doing.
I love
Like,
J.K.
yeah.
Simmons. I think he's
oh
a
yeah,
badass.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
they added so much into this one, man.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, he's an
Eh,
Invincible too, right? Or plays
yes,
the
he
dad,
is.
the
He's
voice.
Omni Man. That's gonna be my next episode. That's pretty much all I'm gonna fucking talk about is
Mhm.
Invincible. Um, so real quick, this is kind of deferring a little bit, but if there's anybody watching a video, I am gonna relate this back to my comic stuff. Justice League issue 59 came out this past week, and they've got a lot of these Justice League covers for Zack Snyder's
That's
That's
cool.
Justice
enough.
League. There's a regular one, the black and white one.
He was a lot more scarier. Hey, they got that on HBO Max now too. Justice is Gray, where it's all
Yes.
black
Yep.
and white.
Yep. I started watching that too. I didn't finish that, but this one is Lieber Miho, who does the. Me and Brian talked about the Batman Damned, or AKA the Batwang issue. Um, which, if you don't know about that, Batman shows off his wang and Batman Damned, but it got pulled and censored and all that fun stuff. And this is the Jim Lee cover, which is really cool. But the black and white for that one was crazy
So,
expensive, so I didn't get that.
Josh, you want to talk about the Jim Lee, Zack Snyder possibility?
So one thing that was cool was Zach had actually already planned out at least a trilogy, right? And for his second movie, they had he had collaborated with Jim Lee, and Jim Lee drew up a bunch of storyboards. And now I think me and Matt have talked about this. There's a rumor going around that they could be turning
Well,
those into an actual comic and
Zach
continuing the
said,
story. Sorry,
yeah, Zach said that he's
he's down
going
to
to
do it.
push for it. So
Well,
yeah,
and that's the thing. I say rumor because it's like nothing's confirmed until WB and DC and all them confirm it.
Mhm.
I know that they're all on board. I know Jim would do it. Jim loves doing that kind of
a
stuff.
over 1 million tweets.
Over 1.5 million
Yeah,
tweets, dude,
over
in like
1.5.
24-hour period. Like that's hashtag restore the Snyderverse, by the way.
Yeah,
Um,
keep hashtagging it, motherfuckers.
so let's see. But back to the movie. Um, yeah, dude, even like, and I'm just gonna say this, me and my wife were talking about this. We watched the original one maybe a week before the new one came out, and I pointed out how many times there were certain scenes going on that just decided, hey, we're gonna put it at this angle and make sure we show Wonder Woman's ass right in the camera there. And like I'm talking 3 or 4 times deliberately, just like whoever's talking is right here and then her ass is right here, just so it's right there in the frame, you know?
Yeah.
And, somebody put that up, they were like, there was an airport scene where Bruce is coming in and it's like Snyder's version and Joss Whedon's version. It's like, why was it necessary? Don't get me wrong, I've never have a problem looking at Gal Gadot's ass, but I'm just saying, like, it seemed unnecessary to do that. God,
I
let's
tell you, the
see.
one thing
Well,
that drove me nuts was every time Wonder Woman was doing something badass, they do that ancient chanting.
Oh,
I don't even know it. That just drives it drove.
oh,
Yeah,
you
it
don't
drove me
like it?
nuts.
I
It
loved
has to
it.
do
Oh,
every
I loved
time,
it. Hey, but
not
that's the thing,
every
man.
time.
Well, and that's the thing. That's I love, dude. I still think her music is the best music of anything from the DC universe, in my opinion. Her when she walks in and it does that do 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 do
Okay,
do
that
do
yeah.
do 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 do, because that just she's coming in and whomping ass, you know. But I get it. They did pull that a lot. They did pull the little part like quite a bit. But to me, it was never outdone. Like to me, it was never too much. But
So
oh, even that dude when Steppenwolf first showed up with the Amazons, everybody's fight against Steppenwolf in the
and he
original
was
one
so much better. He was
felt
so much
like,
better.
well, everybody. I'm like, you've got Amazonians, you've got the Atlanteans and then the humans, and it's like he just walks in and takes it. Like in the
Hmm.
original movies, it seriously felt like he just walks in and takes it. But in this one, like, oh, the Amazonian fight, dude, they take down that whole chunk of the
Yeah,
ground of the
temple.
building,
Yeah.
whole temple, the whole chunk of the earth.
Oh, it's
Trash
in
the
the
whole
ocean.
place.
Trying to stop him.
Whereas in the original one, they were like, close the doors, and then he just breaks out anyway. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, why then? Why the fuck did you even do that? But this one, dude, everybody puts up so much more of a fight that it just
Well, and he's so
felt
much better.
better.
He is so much better. His I love his armor.
Armor.
You dude, so I talked about this with Josh and Brian. I have a question for you after this. But so they initially had announced that they were going to spend 20 million on this. They ended up spending 70 million.
70
And a
million.
large chunk of it was on redoing Steppenwolf.
Wow.
And so Brian, actually I have a question for you because I know Josh, me and you have talked about this, but Brian, have you heard about what his plans were for Batman a la Superman in what was going to be the next couple movies, like as far as involving what happens to Batman, what happens to Superman /
I thought
Lois?
well, the only thing I remember was that they were supposed to do a Deadshot movie. Like that was supposed to be the next solo Batman movie, but or with Justice League
Deathstroke.
characters, I don't.
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, it was going to be
So
Ben Affleck versus Deathstroke. Oh, that's going to be so
so
fucking good. Sorry.
well, and so after oh yeah, Big Dick Big Dick Richie. So after Magic might call out. So after the Justice League Snyder Cut came out, Snyder came out and said what his plans were, and he accidentally dropped it and was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that." So his plans were to have Superman kill Batman. That Batman sacrifices himself to save the world, like it wakes up Superman or whatever. And it was going to. And if you noticed, it's in the movie. It's hard to kind of follow, but Superman and Lois are pregnant, and
Right.
Superman's child, who's going to be named
Bruce
Wayne Kent or Bruce Kent. Yeah, Bruce Kent.
Like what the
Bruce Kent.
hell? Don't get me wrong, but
Well,
what the hell?
At the end of Batman sacrifices himself in like the middle of the third movie, or beginning or end of the third movie, or at the very end of it, you have Superman taking his son into the Batcave and saying, "Your uncle would have loved if you would have taken up his mantle, and he was going to be the new Batman." That's something.
Yes.
So sorry.
And I mean, just listening to his vision, like all the conversations he's had since this movie came out, and then the fucking epilogue, which we're going to talk about quite a bit, I'm sure.
Which, like, I'm all in for his universe, his ideas. For some reason, the idea of it being there was a potential that Bruce thought it was his kid with Lois, and I couldn't help but be like, wait a minute, when did Bruce and Lois get together? And then for him to be named Bruce Kent, I mean, I would love to see how it would have played out. That's all.
So the way that he described it was that when Superman died, that Bruce and Lois develop a relationship, and they actually get together. And once he comes back to life, there's a conflict there, and Bruce ends up failing to protect her, and Darkseid actually kills her, and that turns Superman bad. And so, like, I don't know if he's officially said whether the kid with Lois is Bruce's or was going to be Bruce's, or was going to be Clark's. I imagine it's going to be Clark's.
Only someone like Wonder Woman would have a strong enough uterus to Superman.
Because he said that the child wasn't.
The kid could kick right through his stomach.
He said the child wasn't going to have powers, so I imagine
right.
that could have gone either way, So
could have been Bruce. Could have been Bruce's kid. Which,
I did find.
Sorry.
I was going to say, since you were talking about all the money they spent for Steppenwolf, remember I asked you the other day, Josh, I was like, what was with his armor? Because it was like moving and stuff.
It's
an actual alive. Yeah, I found that out. I was like, okay, I'd like to know more about that.
There's a spires.
Yeah, that was
spire
cool.
thing that comes off of it.
Okay, so let's see here. So now we've captured they're defending the mother boxes, but he gets them, dude. And God, just everybody. We talked. I mean, Aquaman. You get more with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, that was nice.
Not even in the original one.
Yeah,
not even in the original one. And don't get me wrong, his character could have been out of it, and it would have made too much difference. But it was still that much more awesome just to see him in it.
So Snyder said that he has never watched the original, and Whedon said that he used probably only 10% of what Snyder shot.
I mean,
you can
see that he took the general idea and definitely kept some scenes. But yeah, you can tell.
And I mean, and I want to talk about the epilogue, but before we get to there, I think that this just proves Ray Fisher's. It's Ray Fisher, right? His argument against WB, not so much against WB, but mainly against Whedon. That, like, I mean, he had nothing, and the Flash too, but he was totally taken out of that film. If you just watch the Snyder cut, you can see he was such an integral part.
It was more like Cyborg and the Flash.
I was going to say Cyborg and the Flash. We're like two of the main important parts of this movie.
They were the only ones who could do anything.
Right. And yeah, it was just so drastically changed. It was so, you can really, really tell that that Cyborg was almost the focal point of the movie. Almost. Like not. Between him and Superman, they were the ones to actually, between him, Superman, and Flash, that's the point. They all had to do their part. Hell, even Superman was going to die had Flash not done what he done. You can see rewinding time that even Superman's flesh is kind of like
something that just popped in my head, Josh. I have a question for both of you. On the original version, they don't explain Batman's arm pieces, don't they? I don't think
No,
they
they
him
do.
don't.
being able
No, they
to
didn't.
absorb this. Yeah,
Because like I remember watching and being like, how the heck is he deflecting that?
Right.
Like I find it hard to believe that just his general armor would do that. Now the explanation that he had to develop this technology,
Well,
all the little integral details that make sense now. Because when you
and
watch the original film, you're like, what the fuck are they doing? Why
Well,
are
it
they
got
doing
funny.
this? Why is
that
it going?
part where he's like in the original one where he's got Batman by the throat, and he's like, "I remember you. You won't let me live. You won't let me die."
Dude,
I remember being like, "Dude,
and
why? Like,
that
why'd you
scene was
throw that in?"
so much better in this one too.
But they
So much
completely cut
better.
that cheesy dialogue of
Yeah.
the lovely hair lip Henry
Mm.
Cavill.
When that was at the very beginning, wasn't it? Like in the original, there's like
In the
a
original, there's
like a V.
like a
Yeah,
cell
they're doing
phone
a
video.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it was
And I
tall.
always
Yeah, like
I always hated the line bring out
so
the
bad.
big guns. I always hated that line. I always
Well,
hated bring out the big guns.
there was
Like
there was there was a
you're
scene in the
trying
original one that I thought was one of the worst things I've ever seen, and it's when Superman finally comes in and starts whomping Steppenwolf, and Bruce just kind of goes. He's like, "Oh my god, it's Bruce! Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Well, you're fucking Batman, dude. Don't be all, oh my
dude,
god."
how badass was it watching Superman pound on him and they're all like,
Oh,
well, he just
is he
dude.
shattered
going
his
too
axe right
far?
away.
Is
Straight
That's
he
what was
going too
badass.
far? Right,
But
but
still, I always I was
their
gonna say I love it when he
reaction
headbutts Diana too. Like they
Oh,
headbutt each other, and then he
and then
just
he's just
fucking.
like, "You know what?"
I
Into the
always
ground.
thought that was badass.
Well, but that's what's cool too is she held her own too.
Yeah,
She's like, "Bro, I'm still a god. Like you may be an alien, but I'm still a god. So we can fucking duke it out if you want to." Um,
he
but
was just
even
like,
that,
I'm getting annoyed with this, and
like the one joke, I think I've mentioned this multiple times now. The one joke that I'm kind of sad that they pulled out. There's a lot of cheesy jokes, but the one I'm kind of sad they pulled out is when he first comes back and you get the Flash and he's all Pet Cemetery. He's like,
yeah, that
that
part
shit
was
made me
good.
laugh my ass off in the original.
Yeah,
So do you guys want to switch over to the epilogue?
the
Oh, I don't care.
nightmare
But real quick,
Well, the whole
but
epilogue, but
with
but
the
like and not to keep focusing on Ray Fisher, but like it
yes.
was kind of, this is a personal opinion, so if you guys disagree with this, then that's fine. But I think it's messed up that Ray came out and said what he said about Joss, and nobody really wanted to listen to him. And now a lot of people from Buffy came out and are saying the same thing about Joss, and now everybody's like, "Oh shit, maybe he was telling the truth." And I get that Ray kind of took it a little bit too far on himself, only because he said, I refuse to ever work with them again if as long if the president's still going to be there." I get where he's at, and I'm not disagreeing with what he's doing, but I feel like now from what I've heard, he's said, if Zach comes back, then I'll come back, that kind of thing.
Right.
I think he's had time to kind of like calm down, and
right.
I
Well,
think
he would be
everybody finally acknowledging some stuff is him kind of being like, okay,
yeah.
well, I'm calming
I'm not
down.
crazy.
Well,
Right,
and
right.
and he would be, dude. Like, think about how big Gal Gadot got. Think about how
Yeah.
big all the Marvel heroes
Okay,
got.
is it Gal Gadot or Gal
I think
Gadot?
it's Godot.
Gal
I think
Gadot.
it's
Okay.
Godot.
Okay, I've just heard different versions.
I've heard different
So,
versions too, but I don't.
but but
You
think
know,
about how
I've met her and
big.
everything, so
Think about how big all these actors and actresses got once they were in these movies, and think about what could have been with him, and how mad you would be, like getting your big break and being one of the central characters in a gigantic comic book movie, and then have it just taken away from you. So
right.
yeah, I understand, he might have taken it a little too far, but I personally, I would scorch earth that motherfucker.
Right,
You know,
right. Well, and I'm not saying like him going after Joss was too far, but I mean him making the comment of, "I'm never gonna work with them again,"
right.
because it's like you don't want to. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to say anything like I disagree with him, but at the same time, you don't want to be looked at as the guy who's like, "Well, I refuse to work with you, motherfucker." Like, it creates kind of a hostile thing in the future is what I'm worried about. I don't want. I
Well,
don't
Could
want.
blacklist him. Could
Right. I
yeah.
don't
Well,
blacklist
want
he
him.
doesn't
But
have
studios.
now,
enough.
Sorry, Brian. Good.
I was gonna say he just doesn't have enough clout to actually.
Right.
He
He's
can
not
say
quite
that,
big
but
enough
yeah.
to
but he,
say
yeah,
right.
but he should have been.
Well,
And I mean,
and that's the thing too, and I think that's why people were like, "Well, this is just some no name. Who gives a fuck what he
Yeah.
says?" You know what
that
I
was
mean? So
yeah,
it's like
that was, and it
it's
took
shitty, and
this
I'm glad
movie
it's finally
coming out.
getting better. I'm glad just in general
Yeah.
it's getting better. But
Well, and I told you, Josh, this before. I loved Josh Whedon. He wrote my favorite X-Men storyline with the Astonishing X-Men. I loved Firefly. Yeah,
so
that's he
this
did
is
Firefly.
this is
Firefly is one of my favorite sci-fi shows ever. But like
Gone too
once
soon.
he's once all the absolutely,
This-
that's a Fox thing. But once all this stuff started coming out with officially with Ray, I just started losing so much respect for him.
and this is as far okay. This is where I'm going to go with all that. As far as everything is concerned, I may not care so much for the person, but that won't take away from my love for what they've done. Now, I will say that in terms of J.K. Rowling, I don't care for some of the transphobic type stuff she said, but I will always love Harry Potter. I don't
Right?
care for, from, and I'm
Oh,
not
I still
100%
love
sure
it.
what
It's just
happened to,
the
I
respect's
mean,
gone.
I'm not sure what's been proven right and wrong with Kevin Spacey, but I mean, I will always love some of Kevin Spacey's movies. It's like yes, they may be fucked up, but and like same with Joss. What I'm saying is like I'll always love Buffy, dude, and I'll always. I think he didn't. Wasn't it Whedon who did the OG Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually come up a lot with side note, and I'm getting off subject, but this has come up with the whole Mia versus Pharaoh show,
Oh, yeah,
where
I never actually watched
how
that yet.
at what point do you separate the artist from the art?
Right.
And so it's a hard line,
Hell,
because
H.P.
like
Lovecraft was a hardcore racist, but I mean, I love some of his work. Like
so
But
right,
he was a xenophobe.
right, right.
So I'm gonna flip the card on you, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, but would you continue to watch their stuff or read their stuff if they were a child molester? So like,
Well,
what
isn't that what happened
line?
with Spacey? Wasn't Spacey accused of being kind of a like maybe not child, but like young people, like maybe
Right.
18 to 20 kind of people or something? Like I don't know.
Right. Well, and like, and so like that's and I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just
Right.
saying there's this internal
line.
battle with people now
Yeah.
of where do you separate the artist from the art? And
Right.
I'm not saying I'm never gonna say that Josh doesn't do anything good or that
Right.
I don't enjoy his stuff. I just say I lost a lot of respect for him, and I mean
Hell, I lost a lot of respect for him just watching this fucking movie, man. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, let's get back on track. So we want to talk about the epilogue now. The
epilogue.
Are we talking now? Hold on.
The whole thing.
So the ending too, though. The last fight was just so much better, like so much better. We took out that
Russian
stupid
family
Russian family.
Yeah,
like
it was dark.
It was darker. It was. I mean, obviously, it's dark and gritty. That's Snyder, but it was. It was much more grand scale. Like you saw Dark Side, and you saw the fact that he was like had they fucked this up, this was world ending. Everything was done. Like, and
Dark Side was only even just mentioned like once in the first movie.
One time he says for Dark Side, and that's it. Like that's it. You never see him. You never hear anything else about him. But like this one, yeah, they that whole last fight, man, and even when Superman comes in, like. Superman just rolls in with that black fucking suit and just like pounded the fuck out of him. But at the same time, it's like everybody still puts in their worth. I mean, Bruce is outside taking out all the little guys, and even that he does so much more of. Like he's swinging around, he's taking the alien guns and fucking them up with
there's a lot more gore and blood in this one for sure. That was good. And
a lot better fight scene. A lot better fight scenes.
It's like everybody just felt like they were present more.
And I'll say that the way that they did I call it the Avenger, or not the Avengers, the fucking Justice League shot where you see them all,
all
like
just standing at the end. Just
well, no, but I like it when it's Batman and the other four, because at that point Superman was there, where he's in his Batmobile and the other four are right there with him. I'll make an argument. I like that better than Age of Ultron.
Avengers.
Or that first time you saw the four,
where you saw them
all the
in the
Avengers
woods,
circled
in the
around.
wood, in the
In the
woods.
beginning
Yeah.
where they're all
Age of Ultron, where they're in the woods.
Yeah.
I think that I loved Batman in that sequence. I felt like he had dumbed him down in the rest of the movie. He was a leader and everything, but like he made him he made everybody important, and then came to Batman going, Batman's the one that brought you together. He's going to be the one that breaks you in and leads you into the fight. And then I thought that was so cool, and Batman did so much work in that.
Even in that, like,
ending.
he's like, there's a part where Alfred's like, it's been a year, whatever, since Lex said anything. There's been no attacks, and he's like, this isn't about Lex, okay? This is about him. I made a promise to him on his deathbed that I would fucking do this. That we need to be together. I spent so much time pushing us apart. I need to bring us together, and even that just gives you more of his motivation, not just I don't know. Bruce, I will forever argue that I'm going to get criticized for this if people are listening, but I think Ben Affleck is the best live action Batman we've had, and that's a personal opinion.
I like the live action Anaker.
The best Batman is Kevin Conroy. That will forever.
Oh yeah,
but like, he is, in my opinion, the best live action Batman we've ever had. Christian Bale.
Well,
everybody has had one part that they were good at and one part that they were not so good at.
And Josh
Bale was awesome as Bruce. In my opinion, not so good as Batman because of his.
Mine's going to be Adam West.
Well, so me and Josh have had this discussion for years that you have, like, Val Kilmer was a great Bruce, horrible Batman.
Right. Clooney was a good Batman.
Clooney was a good Batman,
Bruce.
Horrible Bruce.
Right.
And so, like, you
Keaton,
don't get that good combo.
I mean, Keaton is Keaton.
Good.
Don't get me wrong. Keaton is Keaton. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's it's one of those neck and neck situations. Because
but I agree. I think I was one of those few that I didn't think it was going to be a good idea. But I go back to Batman v Superman. Breathe it in.
Right.
That's fear.
And I will forever think that is an underrated movie, and will forever. I
love that movie.
I will forever hate the people who dumb it down to the Martha movie. It's like, if you don't see the gravity, in my opinion, if you don't see the gravity of that scene, then that's on you and not the filmmakers. But anyway, that's I was just trying to say that everybody, even at the ending, got fleshed out when fucking Wonder Woman just slices his head off as he's going through. Dude, when he uses his laser to burn one of his horns off or whatever. It was so, like, at the end of that movie, even before the epilogue, at the end of it, especially when Barry sat there and said, just gotta go faster than the speed of light, gotta go much faster than the speed of light.
Gotta break the rule.
Gotta break the rule. We gotta break it right now. And then he's just
hops on the cosmic treadmill.
You know what
forming under his feet as it was going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to. I haven't gotten a tattoo in probably 15 years. Yeah. I'm going to get a tattoo, and it's going to be all of their symbols, and it's going to say. I can't get. I'd have to watch for the official line, but it goes so much as saying. Put six, six, or six. There's space for six, but room for more.
Oh, right. 6 chairs right there.
Yeah, and then Gal goes, room for more. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like every part.
I'm gonna let him in.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I just think that every part of this movie, man, like from the dialogue changes to the scene changes to the flushing out of the characters. In my opinion, I might get flack for this. I think it's better than any of the MCU. Like, I really truly believe that it would have the universe would have contended, if not done more than
had they stuck with it. I think the thing is, had they stuck with it, people would have finally. I both love and hate the MCU because you have to give them credit for what they've done. They've established this enormous universe. They've intertwined movies. They've taken over a decade, 20-something movies, and made it this one giant overarching story, which is incredible. Nobody in the history of cinema has done anything like that. It is incredible. But the problem with that is then it sets a standard that everybody wants it to be just like that. And
Yeah.
DC was trying to still be DC, to make their darker versions of things, to not constantly have to be like, yeah, we have to do it
Chipper.
exactly the way Marvel does it. And I feel like had they taken their had they taken this universe and kept it going, I think by the time we hit the next Justice League movie, people would have been like, "Oh shit, okay, okay." Well, honestly, I think had we finished this movie, people would have been like, "Fuck, that was good." Like that was, that
Yep.
wasn't cheesy
The
and
norm.
corny and
Right.
It wasn't the MCU.
and
It
the
was their
problem
own
was, well, the
universe.
problem was too was that Civil War. You said that Civil War was coming out, and Warner Brothers needed to compete with it. Needed to
Yeah.
compete with it,
That's
and
why
that
they had all the jokes and stuff in it. Because I
right,
mean,
Warner
right,
Brothers. Warner Brothers.
MC.
I will always despise them as a company, the executives, for their decision making because they just cannot get
minus
out
of
of their
course
own
Jim Lee,
ways.
because Jim Lee's I think like
No,
CFO or something like that. So it's like
is he
CEO
really?
or
God,
he's
man.
COO. I don't know. He's
But
one of
like,
those.
man, but like they just can't get out of their own fucking way.
Right.
Like
Well, and that's what
they
I'm getting at.
just
Is I'm like
won't
minus Jim
give.
Lee because I think he understands. I think
Yeah,
he
but they
understands.
won't give. I always go back to the at Brian Roth, Adam Roth, the
Adam
Superman.
Roth.
What is it? Superman
Brandon
Returns.
Routh. Brandon
Brandon
Routh.
Brendan
Routh. There we go.
Routh.
That I always go back to that in a conversation that Kevin Smith had, that he was going to do that movie until Warner Brothers would not let him make any decisions. They were
Right.
hell bent on putting a mechanical fucking spider in the goddamn movie.
Right.
And then what did it end up
And
being?
we
Wild
forgot
Wild West.
again the whole point
but
where he's like pushing up this whole thing
the
made of kryptonite.
oh
That he's just like, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm
God,
stronger than you
yeah.
now.
Just
And
Warner Brothers. So
and that's one where I will argue Kevin Spacey on that one. I think he was a fantastic
Oh, yeah.
Lex. He was my favorite part of that movie.
I still say fucking
Jesse
what's his name
Eisenberg.
Eisenberg is fucking amazing.
I think
he's got that
again, he's
neurotic
underrated because it's like
Yeah.
people. I think the only big problem I have with what they did was they went way out of whack on ages. You've got an older Batman, a super young Flash. Like
Okay.
Batman, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman are perfect. They were right there in that same general age range. But then you got a super young Flash, a younger Cyborg, and then a hella young Lex, which I still think, I don't know that it's been said blatantly, but I'm very certain that it's Lex Jr. because he says that Dad was the face of LexCorp. And so it's in Batman vs Superman. So
Okay.
I'm convinced that he's Lex Jr. But either way, you've got super young Lex, which would be cool. I think had they played it out, like you said, they would have killed Bruce. They would have brought in a new Batman, or they could have just done Flashpoint and brought everybody back to where they would have balanced it out better. But I think the weirdest thing in any of this stuff to me was just the age difference between everybody.
Well, so going off of that, think about how old the Flash looks in the epilogue and in the flashback in
Dude, I love
Batman
his
v
outfit.
Superman.
I love his outfit.
Right,
in the
absolutely.
epilogue.
But think about how old he looks, and Batman doesn't look like he aged. So in the future, so like I get that. My thing is, I think that they went too old on Cyborg. I think that he should have been a teenager. Like I would have loved to have seen them spin into Teen Titans. I know he's like college age, because he's in football, but like I would have loved to have seen them spin that off into Teen Titans. But still, I
Dude,
even
Titans,
with that,
the show
that's like
is such
the
an
only
underrated
thing.
show.
Yeah.
But it's like, had they done and that's they could have done Teen Titans.
Okay.
They could have done anyway. Yeah.
Our epilogue.
Yes. Well,
So,
I know, but we still got probably about 20 minutes or so.
I know, but dude, there's so much I want to talk about with the
I
epilogue.
know.
Like,
All right.
and once again, I know that we said it before, but major spoiler alerts. If you for some reason turn it off before the epilogue, I call it epilogue, but epilogue.
That Flash rewinds
Right.
time and saves everybody. So.
Well, right, but that's before the epilogue. So
right. No,
but I think that I always had a complaint about Lord of the Rings that they ended it 15 times, even though in the books they end it like 100 times. I get tired of those long drawn out endings where it's like you see 15 different things. I think this was great. I think it built up a massive universe that would have seen some of the most pivotal points in DC's lore. Everything from, let's bring up the elephant in the room as and me and Josh go not back and forth, but me and Josh talk about this a lot about how Jared Leto's Joker in Suicide Squad. So he got a lot of flack for that, but I always have defended him that they made the wrong Joker. So he did a great job.
I have
as
no
the
about
Joker.
His ability to act as the Joker was fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong Joker. So anybody who doesn't know, there was a book that came out, and I think it was just called The Joker.
Yeah.
Where you follow the Joker from the henchman's point of view, and Killer Croc,
more like Heath Ledger's Joker physically.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Killer Croc, but he acts the same.
Acts more like Leto's Joker.
Well, I thought you guys were going to say there was a version in the comics where he's all tatted up and has a grill and stuff. That's what I thought you were getting at.
But
when you said they chose the wrong one,
they did. I mean, because they kind of mixed. Jared Leto's Joker is like a mix of the Joker from that and Killer Croc from that. Killer Croc in that storyline has the ghetto
grill
gold grill and all that stuff.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And so like the problem that I always had with the Leto problems is that like, if anybody reads that book, they'll sit there and go, man, he did a great job as the Joker.
The artist in that Joker series is the one who did Batwang.
Yeah. They picked the wrong version of the Joker to give.
Right.
And so but I feel like he made that whole conversation with Batman. I mean, talk about a whole movie that has parts that you're in love with, from the Omega beams with Darkseid, all that stuff. Man, that conversation, Josh. Oh my God, Brian. What was it? Let's go ahead and say the line,
okay.
Josh.
Wait, when he says, okay, so he says, what about Joker, or what about Harley? On her dying wish, her dying breath, she asked me that when I kill you, and make no mistake, I will fucking kill you.
That was awesome.
That'll be slow.
That'll be slow, and I plan to keep that promise. And I was just,
that was Batman. That at that point, man, that is the best.
I get goosebumps right now just thinking about that.
Man, me too. I literally have the hair standing up on my arm, man. That, to my opinion, is the epitome of who Batman was, who he is in the comics, and who he should be in the movies. Like if you didn't see that and got goosebumps from it, I don't know what else can please you as a Batman fan.
Right. And especially God, and I love more than anything the whole Nightmare Batman get up, him in a fucking trench coat with those big old goggles and shit. I thought that was one of the best versions of Batman we've ever seen in film. And just because it's just so different. It's not your typical fucking Batman. Like, I love the design for Batman, and I always will. I will still complain that, to me, the one drawback of Ben's is that he still couldn't move his neck, and I think that's what caused the neck to look a little too big, which is what caused people to come up with the whole fat Batman thing.
Oh, he
looks a little chunky,
bulky all around.
But that's only, he's meant to be bulky. Like, he's meant to be the big dude. But it's like, terrifying. I feel like had they gone with more of a helmet kind of thing, I think it would have looked better. That's just a personal opinion.
So whenever I see anything about that, I think of Batman Brave and the Bold. That was him. He was
Batman.
He's stocky. He was.
Well, and it's obviously because of Batman vs Superman was supposed to be off of Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight Returns.
Well, yeah,
Frank Miller.
Well, and
which is big, a little bit older, almost at the end of his thing. Batman,
Well, and one of the homages that Leto says, he knows about losing people. He lost a mother. He lost a father. He lost a stepson. Is he say stepson, or what was the exact line?
Adopted son.
Adopted son.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right, and they were gonna explore the whole. Like, there's so many things that are left unanswered.
Are they planning on doing that?
So there's so Josh, me and Josh talked about it just a little bit ago about how if they can't get it done in cinema, they're going to do it in comic book form with Jim Lee doing the drawing. But I will say that Snyder has said, "Hey, I never thought that I would be able to release this version of Justice League. So who knows?" And I mean, they already have more tweets of Restore the Snyderverse than what they did for Restore the Justice League.
So
Snyder Justice League cut.
There's one little thing I would like to throw out. This is completely underrated. I'm so sorry for pulling away from this, but real quick, the other thing that I absolutely love about the hashtag release the Snyder cut is that not only did it bring awareness to the Snyder cut, they also used any funding that they got from that promotion to put towards suicide prevention and suicide awareness, which I thought is just, that's why I'm like, there's really never been anything like this. Not only has this, I mean, yes, people got pissed about Sonic and they redid his design. Yes, like, shit like that has happened, but like
nothing like this.
Never been anything on this scale. And for them to also use that as an opportunity to help with suicide prevention, because I mean, that's the whole point of why this happened. And people tend to forget that. People tend to just be like, oh, well, Zack Snyder's a bitch because he left the movie. It's like, no,
there's a big
you
reason.
have left this movie if that had happened to you? Like,
so
that was your daughter. Like,
right at the end it said for Autumn.
For Autumn,
that
yes.
Was his daughter.
Yes.
That's cool.
Well, and I mean, they were so, AT&T was so invested in this that they went from $20 million to $70 million. And I would love to. And
they didn't want to.
AT&T wanted to. Warner Brothers
didn't want to. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and I'm interested in seeing, because I haven't read anything up about it. AMC just opened their theaters worldwide on Friday. Have they said anything about this coming to theaters? Because I would love to see it in the theater.
I haven't heard anything about it. I would be willing to bet that they would sneak that intermission in there somewhere, though, if they do. 4-hour movie.
Like, imagine if they this is what I could see happening. If people are really serious about wanting him to restore the universe, if they release it in theaters, people need to go to it. Like, it needs to get $500 million to $1 billion for them to go, okay, shit, it's a movie that we already made, a couple $100 million on that got re-released, and we're making a shit ton on it.
So the other thing about, back to the epilogue, sorry, I keep pulling us around. Back to the epilogue, I think Cyborg, he's got this big freaking coat on, and suddenly he just rips it off. He's got this giant like minigun on the side of him. I was just like, yes, dude, that was cool. One thing that threw me off, and I this is a personal thing, I don't recall Cyborg ever having like extra arms. Has that been a thing before?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
Why not?
Right. No, I have nothing against it. I was just kind of like, oh shit, okay.
I think that of all three of us, Josh, you followed the Teen Titans the closest, so I would say that if anybody knew, it'd be you. And I can tell you, I've never seen
life, bro. Teen Titans
go for life. And I like Teen Titans. Don't get me wrong, but I know that you have been you're a big Teen Titans guy. So
that's the one thing about the show that pissed me off. The Titans show on DC is that there's no Cyborg. He goes into Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, but I was just kind of like, why the fuck? I mean, I think they explained it, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, but anyway.
So John Jones. Let's talk about John
J. Jonah Jameson? Wait, what do you mean?
No, John Jones.
John Jones. Martian,
yeah. See, and I don't know this, but that very, very last scene almost felt like it was reshot. Ben looked a little bit maybe cleaner, maybe a little more like, I don't know. Yeah. He looked a little.
He might have.
They probably did.
So I talked to Josh about this just before we got on. So the plan initially was, because one of the things that has been said is that we wish, and I know I'm one of them, that Green Lantern Corps had been a bigger role, because they do talk about how when Steppenwolf talks to Darkseid, he says, there's no green, there's no lanterns, no Kryptonian, and so. So the story behind that, according to Zack, is that he went to Warner Brothers and he wanted to do what's his name, Josh, the Green Lantern that he was going to do, John Stewart. That he was going to do John Stewart, and they said no. We want to introduce John Stewart and the Green Lantern Corps in a separate movie.
Green Lantern Corps, yeah.
And so he and so he said, well, fine, then let me do John Jones Martian Manhunter. And they said, okay, go ahead. So as much as I would have loved to have seen a Green Lantern Corps, being able to see Martian Manhunter for the first time in a live action movie, I loved seeing that, man.
See, and I kind of liked that Snyder was like, you know what? Let's put a bunch of stuff that would lead into a sequel. I think
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I know he had planned sequels, but it's like I think he specifically was like, let's just throw a bunch of shit in there so that we can make it look like there's gonna be all kinds of unanswered questions. So people I don't think that's his goal is to have people like try to wish for him back or whatever, but it's like
Right.
you can't
But he
help but
wanted
wonder
to
if they're
tell
like,
you why he did what he did and what he was
right,
planning.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
Right.
answered a lot of questions in this one.
right.
Yeah.
I still
Oh,
loved it
so
when the
there was
Joker was like, I'm his best friend. Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around? I started busting
That's
out
how I
laughing.
started it.
It's gonna give you a reach around. And that was
And-
so Joker, dude. And that felt so much more like
Yeah.
Joker,
Yeah.
like but at the same time too, it was kind of cool because it felt like you took Joker's Suicide Squad character, but beat him down. Like, but
Yeah.
he's what
He's
I
been through
loved
hell.
what I
You know,
loved
he's
is
like,
he had
Yeah.
this bulletproof vest that's covered
yeah.
with police
With a bunch of
badges. I was like,
badges
fuck, that's
So
probably like the cops he's killed, That's probably
killed.
yeah.
well, and I'm one of those people that I loved Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, but
Oh yeah.
it made more sense to have Leto, who's already in this universe,
Right.
than to bring somebody
Well, because
like him in.
Ben
So
was in Suicide Squad just for a
right,
minute, just for a minute.
right. Just
But
saying, if anybody has wonders why,
right.
Joaquin's Joker's not in the same universe as
Just like we're not going to see fucking Pattinson. Well, I don't know if they do end up doing that, but like they could always flashpoint it and bring Pattinson in if they want to.
Yeah.
Is that,
I what?
I was gonna say, when does that one come out? Robert
It got
Pattinson's
pushed
Batman.
to like May next year, I think it was.
Of course.
I thought okay.
I think it's
I thought it was coming
May.
this year.
It was supposed to, but I think
Just
it got
like-
pushed. Let me.
Well, and think about this, Josh. Think about the really good DC movies that came out after Justice League. You could have seen Shazam and Black Adam brought into this universe. You could have what was the other one? Aquaman had a really good movie, but I thought there was another one. Maybe I'm wrong. Was it just Shazam? Was that the only one that they introduced so far?
As far as not from the original lineup,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Was
I
it
believe it's
Shazam?
just
Okay.
Shazam.
Well, even still, I mean, like the great Aquaman movie. Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman. Duh. Yeah.
Well,
the
yeah.
great
No, I know
Wonder
they
Woman
did Wonder
movie.
Woman, but I
Right.
just mean like as far as not
As far as
already
new characters,
in,
yeah.
like new characters, yeah.
But like they had
Well,
that great line of movies,
So
and
they
then
could still do this because Wonder
know.
Woman, they have not made a single modern day Wonder Woman yet. All of her movies
1984, I didn't
were
like.
way back when, and then 1984. So it's like,
Yeah.
they could
Yep.
still technically continue her story post Justice League, or
I mean, they
continue
can
her
do
in
all their
Justice
stories,
League.
man. And
It's
Ben
March 4th,
and
2022 for the Batman.
and Henry Cavill has never come out and said he wanted to leave. He still
Right.
does stuff
And
with
Ben-
Snyder. Like he
well-
still does a bunch of calls with
Well,
Snyder.
and Ben said that he wanted out because he put himself into rehab. He knew he was having personal issues. He knew there was a thing going around that he was ready to direct and star in the Batman movie. And so
Right.
he had somebody actually had to talk to him to say, because of the way you're going through life right now,
Putting too much stuff on you.
this could kill you. So if you're going to do it, or if you want to do it, you need to take, And so he backed off and he said, I shouldn't overdo it for myself. I think it would have been one of the best movies we'd ever seen in terms of Batman. I think if he directed it and starred in it, I think it would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, there's still time.
Well, and he's cleaned up now, so I feel like maybe reintroduce the idea.
And I love the originality of the Snyder verse, and that includes the future Batman movie of seeing people we've never seen before on film, seeing Darkseid, of seeing Stephen, of seeing Deathstroke,
dude, and that was so cool in the future.
Of seeing Martian Manhunter,
right?
Deathstroke. I think
that.
I think he would have been a great Deathstroke.
See, and I think because that was going to be the focus of their movie, was going to be him fighting Deathstroke, and I'm like, dude, that would have been so good. I think Joe Manganiello was perfect choice for Deathstroke.
How awesome would have been to see Superman kill Wonder Woman and Aquaman? Like, it would. I mean, like stuff like this doesn't happen in Marvel. Like I said, Marvel. They're like you said, their MCU is amazing.
Well,
but
even killing off Iron Man and killing off Black Widow or whatever. It took them 10 years to finally do it.
Right.
And I still feel like they're going to bring back Black Widow somehow. I still feel, I mean, I think the only one I think eventually they'll pull in another actor to be Tony too. But I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah,
It, it,
they don't make
they
like
didn't go dark. They didn't go dark until
until like
Endgame
Endgame.
and
Yeah.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
And like I just think that I love, and me and Josh, we've talked about this. I love Marvel. Nothing against Marvel. They put out bulk. DC puts out quality as far as their comics. I love DC's writing this much more than Marvel's. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Marvel. They have some great talent. They've got some great stories, but I've always felt like DC stories are their bread and butter, that they have better stories and better writing. So
Well,
it's my
and
own opinion.
Marvel's got kind of a cookie cutter thing when it comes to their
Yeah.
stories. They've
Yep.
straight up, they've got an ABC act strategy. They've got essentially the first villain of whoever the hero is going to be basically the same as the hero, but a bad version. You know, because it's got like Ant-Man, he's got the bee guy, wasp guy, or not wasp. He was like the hornet guy. I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
he was. You got Iron Man, who basically had another version of Iron Man. You've got Hulk, who had Abomination. You got
Well, and like, look at DC. Like, who would have
Bizarro.
thought? Who would have? But who would have thought that? But look at DC. Who would have thought that a talking monkey would make a great villain? You know,
you talking
I mean,
Grodd?
think, yeah, you
Yeah.
know, like they
Well,
go out,
and
and
I'm
they're
not saying that DC
Batman's
doesn't do
writing,
that, because DC had Wonder
right?
Woman fighting Ares, which is essentially
Superman,
this,
Bizarro,
and
you
Superman
know,
has Bizarro, but you haven't seen him fight Bizarro. I just mean like
Batman's
DC
writing,
kind of does it too, but I just mean like they've like Batman versus Superman was such a different
yeah,
idea, or well, not different, but like such a no, it was different. Like
yeah, and it
to
was before
start them
Civil
off,
War. It
well,
was
and to
before
start them
Civil
off
War too.
hating each other, I think because in the Justice League, Batman and Superman, while always working together, have never truly trusted each other.
Well, Batman always keeps that shard in his belt. He
Batman has
always has that
the
shard.
Just in case.
contingency plan for everybody,
Yeah.
which was, I think,
Batman
War.
protocols.
There was one of the animated movies, which was based on one of the comics, that where somebody takes his protocols to kill everybody and then starts doing them.
Yep.
But like, here, let's start thinking about wrapping this up here. So
Sidetracking.
So
Yep.
it was phenomenal, dude. You took a 2-hour movie, you made it 4 hours, but not only that, you took it and cut out at least like an hour of the original movie, at least.
And
then
it didn't really
keep it
feel like
4
4 hours. I mean, it was, but it still went by quick.
It just it did it did justice to everybody. It wrapped up things so much better than like even the nightmare stuff at the end was better than I expected it to be. Was like Brian, you were asking me beforehand how much Dark Side was in it, and I'm like, yes, he's not in it. He was never meant to be the main villain
Right.
at the beginning. I mean, yeah, he's the bigger villain, but it was meant to be Steppenwolf at first, and then lead into the Dark Side stuff. And it's like when they remade this, I was trying to tell Brian without spoiling it. I'm like, he's in it, but he's still not.
Well, that's
in it.
like I said, I don't care if he's only on there for 5 minutes. I just wanted to actually see him on screen.
But the way
you got
they
to
make
see him fight, you got to see him fight in that original fight. You got to see his interaction. You got to see the Omega beams.
Yep.
That was my main part. I want to see the Omega beam so bad.
Yeah, and so
even only being in it for 10 minutes or whatever, he's so intimidating. He's
dude.
You see his army that he's got.
When he was down in Atlantis, his eyes were boiling the water and all that. It's like, that little detail's awesome.
So, well, and one of my favorite parts with him is you've got Superman on the ground holding a burned up Lois, and he walks over and just puts that hand on
like on his shoulder. Yeah, you're just like,
man.
It's like, I got you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell that this was meant to be building towards something incredible. Yeah. And this was already very well done. It was very well put together, but I can't get over how much I want to see the rest of this universe.
Well, the Flash going back in time and warning Bruce, that wasn't in this one though, but he mentions it, right? Like,
but
he was
like,
I had a
that
dream.
was in Batman vs Superman. When it actually happened. It was in Batman vs Superman.
Right.
But yes, they did, and
But I
that's the thing
think you're
too. Is
that's
they
exactly
originally
what.
they didn't even talk about it, and now
Well,
yeah,
well, and Whedon's version, the whole he took the him warning or him saying Lois is the key as bring out the big guns,
Right.
and Zack
as in
came out and
she's what's
said
going to calm him
no,
down. Yeah,
yeah, and Batman said no, it's not because of her helping, it's because of something worse, and
right,
that
right,
it's just you could see two completely different visions of the movie. You could
right,
see, and I don't know if I don't know if we're being too hard on Josh because he had to come in and take a product and try to change it to get it out. And he's having Warner Brothers tell him to do this, do that. I don't know.
Strict deadline
I
and
don't.
all.
right.
I have no
And
idea. But I can say as a fellow comic book person, which Zach obviously is, he's written in comics, he's done art for comics, he's made comic book movies. Dude, you should have figured out some way to go. I can't. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to try to follow his vision or not be in it at all. And
right,
so I don't know how much pull Josh had, whether or not he decided most of this stuff. I know that he was rewriting it while Zach was still working on it. So I don't know the whole background, but at the end of the day, man, you put your name on that.
just
Now it was horrible, and
just
you
worlds different.
destroyed. Yeah,
I
you
feel bad that the
destroyed.
original one says directed by Zack Snyder because it fucking
Yeah,
wasn't, man. I
nope.
mean, it
That has
was
stuff
And
to do
he's
with the
never
whole.
seen it. He has never seen it.
right,
Zach has never seen it.
Well,
right,
that has stuff to do with like the whole guild thing, like the picture association, whatever group. Like they have
right,
certain
Yeah,
rules with stuff like that.
right, right.
yeah.
But dude, I if you have not watched it yet, you've gotten all the spoilers from this episode, so you might as well not even watch it at this point. But if you, if you, I personally, there are people out there who are still commenting that it's just the same boring movie, only longer. I have to disagree. I think this was an entirely different experience.
It's a different movie. It's a
I
completely
think
different
it
movie.
was a completely different movie. It was not only different in tone, it was different in the writing process. The CGI looked better. The
Yeah.
the the fighting was better. The stories were better. The everything about it was
Characters.
monumentally better. Even the
Absolutely.
tiniest things were better.
I
Um,
hate saying the original Justice League. I'm not even going to use that term anymore.
It'll be
You know,
safe.
well,
Yeah.
the first movie. Also,
so I'm going
the
to
first
I'm gonna
movie.
do my my little flex over here. I got to meet the entire cast at San Diego Comic-Con in 2017. I got to meet it was Ray Fisher, and then Ezra Miller, and then Gal Gadot, and then Jason Momoa, and then Ben Affleck, and they didn't have Superman there, which I'm sorry. I love Snyder to death, but I still think one of the dumbest marketing ploys was trying to act like, oh yeah, no, Superman's dead, bro. He's dead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, if you didn't know he was coming back,
Yeah.
they straight up did not bring Henry Cavill to that signing because they were like, no, Superman's dead. But we're like, yeah,
Oh,
okay, come on now. But when 2017, that happened in July of 2017, and the movie was coming out in November of 2017. And I wanted more than anything in this world to love that movie because I was
Yeah.
so pumped by the
Yeah.
fact that I got to meet everybody. And by the way, everybody was super nice. Everybody was incredibly nice. Even Ray, Ezra, everybody was super nice. The only one who like didn't say anything to me really was Jason Momoa. He just kind of was like, "Yep," which is
Well,
fine. I don't give a shit.
he's a one-liner, dude. So
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad or bitching about it or anything. It was still an incredible experience. But like I wanted so bad to love this movie that when I walked out of the theaters, I remember kind of being like, it was still okay. It was still okay. But like, dude, after watching Snyder's cut, you cannot deny how bad the original one was.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good. It just wasn't. Um, I truly hope that this reinvigorates everybody. I really hope that this gets everybody excited to maybe pursue at least his trilogies. Even if you want to sit here and go, yeah, but these separate movies are separate. We're just not even gonna. I just want to see his vision. I just want to
Yep.
see the rest of his vision,
even if it's in comic books, I would
even
love
if it's
to
in
see it
comic
on
books.
film. But
Yeah,
yeah, just give me the rest of the universe. I mean,
Yep.
even if it's just a couple graphic novels, not
Yep.
even individual issues. Like I cannot agree with you anymore. It was character driven. It was all six of them,
You
not
cared
just
for every
one or
one of them
two.
more.
Yeah. It wasn't just focused on Batman and Superman with a little bit of Wonder Woman. It was all of them. It was all six of them. They were all brought something to the table. They all helped in some way or another, and it's just a completely different movie. And for anybody, like Josh said, I'm going to reiterate, anybody who can sit there and say, "Oh, it's just like a extended cut." No, it's not. It's a completely different movie. I mean, it's I don't know how else to describe it. And I will say one of the frustrating things with the whole Josh Whedon thing is, dude, you've made 3 hour long comic book movies.
Right?
Why
Hell,
did you have to
Avengers was
fucking
2 hours,
cut that?
2.5 hours or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Like, and it might be a Warner Brother thing.
yeah.
They might have said, no, you can't have it 4 hours. But like, I hope that this opens up avenues for both DC, Marvel, and all independents to go, you know what? Fans are okay with it going a little bit longer if we
As
do
long
it
as it's
right,
good enough, yeah.
you
As long
know?
as it's done right. Yep.
And I mean, I hope that's the biggest thing that comes from this, is that I don't care if you're a DC fan, a Marvel fan, an independent fan, but I hope that it shows the executives that, hey, it's okay to go 3 hours. It's okay to go 4 hours. People will still buy it. People will still go to it, especially if it's good. Like, if it's good, they'll go in bulk,
Right.
whereas if
Right.
you just do, oh, well, we need to cut it at 2 hours or whatever, and it's garbage, they're not going to go to it.
Right.
So that's what I got to say on it.
Brian, anything you want to wrap up with? We're going to
Not
wrap up
really.
here.
Just a
All
great
right.
movie,
Well,
like you guys said, completely different.
it was just drastically different. And drastically better.
I will say, next episode we will be going back to
Yeah, we'll go
the
back to the
original
normal
format, but
Yeah.
I know that we talked about how just important this was to us,
And I think
just
it's
to,
important to the movie industry. I really
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
I really
it's been
do.
hammered lately. It's been hammered. I
I
mean,
really hope that I think the biggest thing is I really hope studios in general will start allowing more creative control from the
For
directors
their
themselves.
yes,
Because
yes.
that was, I mean, look at Spider-Man 3 for fuck's sake. Sam Raimi is one of my favorite directors of all time.
yep,
And look what happened with Spider-Man 3.
yep.
So I hope that going forward this opens some studio. I hope. I mean, obviously that's a big hope, but I hope that it can show some studios that they can give some more creative control to the directors. So, all right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, go to www.thecowsden.com if you want to check out my blog. There's also the email there if you guys want to send any recommendations for stuff to talk about, any comments, concerns. If you want to just bitch us out for saying and say, hey, Justice League fucking sucks and I hate it, you're fucking stupid. I don't care. That email does go to me, so I'll be the one reading it. So if you want to cuss me out, I don't give a fuck. But yeah, we're be doing this in 2 weeks again. We'll get the next episode out, and we will go back to the original format on the next one. Like Matt said, this was just I I felt like I knew this was going to take at least an hour just to talk about, so we couldn't just bring this up
Well,
in the episode.
and I think it was like right after it had gotten released. I think I texted you and was like, "Dude, can
Like,
we
have to do an episode on this.
we have to do an
Right,
episode of just this
right.
because like
It's a good idea.
it's and it's a once in a lifetime event. Like,
Right.
this has never happened before.
Never
Where
happened before this.
it'd be like if they took Titanic and did a
And
$100 million update on it and
right,
re-released it,
right,
with what his original vision was like. So it's a once in a lifetime thing. And so like, we're not going to do this all the time, but
right.
if something like massive like this were to happen, we want to make sure that we can talk about it. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks,
for
guys.
listening, and we will see you next time on the Cows Den podcast. Peace out.